7 common egg mistakes is silently poisoning seniors over 65, and mistake number 3 could completely change the way you eat eggs forever. Did you know that the food many people call the perfect protein for aging can become one of the worst things on your breakfast plate if it's prepared the wrong way? It's true. Millions of seniors eat eggs every single day, never realizing that one simple mistake could turn this nutritional powerhouse into a serious health risk. The most shocking part, almost nobody realizes they're making these mistakes until it's already too late. Eggs are one of the best things you can eat after 60. Packed with protein, choline, and nutrients that protect your brain and your eyes right now at this very stage of life when you need the most. But that same nutrition is exactly what makes the mistakes ahead so dangerous, because the eggs that hurt you look, smell, and taste completely normal right up until they don't. There's no warning. Sign before the damage is done. Pay attention here, because the thing you've trusted your whole life can just as easily be the thing that lands you in a hospital bed. Research suggests a large majority of older adults make at least one of these mistakes on a regular basis, and most of them have no idea they're doing it because these aren't rare kitchen accidents. They're habits almost everyone watching this grew up with. I'm Dr. Mark Heyman, a cardiologist based in Los Angeles with 26 years treating patients over 65, and I want to walk you through this the way I would a patient sitting across from me in my office. So today we're counting down the 7 most dangerous egg mistakes seniors make, ranked from the one that seems the most harmless all the way up to the one that sends the most people to urgent care. And mistake number 2 is sitting in almost every refrigerator in America right now. Before we get into it, quick question for you. How do you usually cook your eggs? Scrambled, boiled, or over easy? Let us know in the comments below. Now let's get started, and remember we're counting backward, so the most surprising mistake comes first. Number 7, skipping the yolk. If you've spent years throwing away your egg yolks and eating only the whites, you're not alone, but you might be undoing most of the reason eggs are good for you in the first place. This habit goes back decades to advice that told people to cut cholesterol wherever they could. The yolk is where nearly all of an egg's real nutrition lives. Choline, which your brain relies on for memory and focus, plus lutein and zeaxanthin, tied to eye health and to lowering the risk of age-related vision loss. The yolk is also one of the few natural sources of vitamin D, which gets harder for the body to make from sunlight as we get older. Here's the part most people don't know. The concern about dietary cholesterol driving up blood cholesterol has largely been walked back. This is proven. The 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines for Americans actually removed the long-standing cap on dietary cholesterol unless your doctor has told you to limit yolks for a specific medical reason. Whole eggs offer far better nutrition than whites alone, especially for someone your age when the body absorbs nutrients less efficiently than it used to. Your brain and your eyes are two of the first things that start slipping quietly with age. Keeping the yolk on your plate protects both, and that means staying sharp enough to recognize your grandkids' faces and steady enough on your feet to keep up with them. Number 6, drowning your eggs in butter, oil, or cheese. This one doesn't feel dangerous. It feels like breakfast, but it's one of the easiest ways to turn a heart-healthy meal into a real problem for your cardiovascular system. A simple 2-egg breakfast on its own is a lean, protein-rich start to the day. Add a generous pat of butter, a handful of shredded cheese, and a splash of oil to the pan, and that same plate can end up carrying far more saturated fat than most seniors should have in one sitting. Heart health guidance recommends keeping saturated fat to a small share of your daily calories, and one cheese-laden, butter-fried omelet can use up a meaningful chunk of that allowance before lunch even starts. None of it tastes excessive in the moment. That's exactly what makes it easy to miss. What makes this mistake sneaky is that it's cumulative. One indulgent Sunday breakfast won't hurt you, but daily eggs cooked this way morning after morning can quietly push your cholesterol and inflammation in the wrong direction, both linked to heart disease and stroke risk. This is the part that matters most if you're already managing blood pressure, since heavy saturated fat tends to work against the same numbers your doctor is tracking at every visit. The fix doesn't mean giving up flavor. Cook your eggs in a non-stick pan with just a light coating of olive oil or cooking spray. If you love cheese, use less of something with a stronger flavor, like a sharp cheddar or a feta, so a small amount goes a long way, and instead of reaching for more cheese, reach for vegetables. Spinach, tomatoes, and peppers add volume and real nutrition without the saturated fat. Your heart doesn't need you to give up eggs. It just needs you to stop drowning them so you have the stamina to garden, to walk the block, to keep doing the things that keep you independent. Number 5, leaving cooked eggs out too long, especially at gatherings. This mistake tends to happen exactly when you're least likely to be thinking about food safety: at a family brunch, a holiday morning, a table full of grandkids and conversation. Cooked egg dishes, whether it's quiche, egg salad, or a frittata sitting out on the counter, shouldn't sit at room temperature for more than about 2 hours, or as little as 1 hour if the room is warm. After that window, bacteria can multiply to unsafe levels, even in food that was fully cooked. This matters more at this stage of life because stomach acid, one of the body's natural defenses, often decreases with age or with certain medications. If you're hosting, keep hot dishes hot above 1 4 using a slow cooker or a chafing dish, and keep cold dishes like egg salad nestled in a bowl of ice once the gathering wraps up. Refrigerate leftovers promptly in shallow containers and use them within 3 to 4 days. When in doubt, throw it out. Nobody wants a holiday memory to end with a trip to urgent care. A little planning at the buffet table means more time at it, laughing with the people you love instead of leaving early. Number 4, cross-contaminating without realizing it. Here's a scenario that plays out in kitchens every single day. You crack a couple of eggs for your morning omelet, wipe your hands quickly on a towel, then reach for the bread to toast, or your pill organizer for your morning medications, or you rinse the mixing bowl with a quick splash of cold water and use it next for a fruit salad. In both cases, you may have just transferred bacteria to something you're about to eat with your hands. This one leaves no trace, no smell, no visible residue, nothing to tip you off. Even eggs that look perfectly clean can carry bacteria on their shells, and that bacteria can linger on kitchen surfaces for a while if they aren't properly cleaned, including the towel you just wiped your hands on. There's a second layer to this that's easy to miss: cutting boards. A lot of us use the same board for cracking eggs and then minutes later for slicing fruit or bread without a wash in between. It feels efficient. It's actually one of the most common paths for cross-contamination in a home kitchen, and it happens fastest in kitchens where the routine has become automatic. Not from carelessness, just from decades of doing it the same way. The fix takes seconds. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and warm water immediately after handling eggs before touching anything else. Keep a dedicated cutting board or bowl for raw eggs if you can, and wipe down counters and utensils with hot soapy water after they've touched eggs. This isn't just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting everyone at your table, especially grandchildren whose immune systems are still developing. But before we continue, if you have been enjoying the guide, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Number 3, ignoring the expiration date. I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now. I've been eating eggs past the date on the carton for years and I've never gotten sick. And for a lot of people, that's genuinely true. Most of the time, here's why this one deserves more caution. As we get older, our immune systems change with age and the margin for error gets smaller. That date on the carton isn't just a suggestion. It reflects a point where the protective mechanisms inside the egg start to weaken, letting bacteria multiply more easily, even in eggs that still look and smell completely normal. For a younger, healthier person, that might mean an uncomfortable day at this stage of life, especially if you're managing another condition or taking daily medications. Food poisoning can escalate quickly. Dehydration is a real concern since many older adults already have a diminished sense of thirst. You won't believe what doctors are now saying about how to tell if an egg is still good, and it has nothing to do with the date on the box. If you're ever unsure, try the float test. Place the egg in a bowl of water. A fresh egg sinks and lies flat on its side. An older egg stands upright or floats because the air pocket inside has expanded over time. The easiest habit to build at home is rotation. When you bring new eggs home, put them behind the older ones in the carton, so you're always working through the oldest first. It's a small system, but it takes the guesswork out completely, and it keeps you in control of your own kitchen on your own terms. Number 2, undercooking your eggs. This one has crept up over the last several years, mostly thanks to social media. Runny yolks and barely set whites look beautiful in a video, but what looks good on a screen isn't always what's safe on a plate, especially for someone your age. Both the white and the yolk need to reach a safe internal temperature to kill off potentially harmful bacteria, and at that temperature, both are fully set, not runny. Contrary to what a lot of people assume, a firm yolk doesn't mean you've overcooked your eggs. It means you've cooked them safely. A foodborne illness that smiled for a younger person can escalate into something far more serious. For seniors, particularly those managing diabetes or heart disease, because the immune system's ability to fight infection naturally declines with age. Here's something worth naming honestly. Many of us grew up in kitchens where a runny yolk was simply how eggs were served and nobody thought twice about it. That's not a criticism. Food Safety guidance has genuinely shifted as our understanding has improved, and what felt perfectly normal at 30 doesn't carry the same odds in your 60s and beyond. This isn't about undoing a lifetime of habits overnight. It's about updating one small piece of the routine to match where your body is today. Don't miss this part. Color is not a reliable safety check. Some eggs can look fully cooked on the outside while the inside hasn't reached a safe temperature at all. The fix is one inexpensive tool, a food thermometer. Cook until both the white and yolk are fully set. No guessing required. You don't have to give up the eggs you love to eat safely. Affirm. Yolk isn't a sacrifice. It's just the version of your breakfast that keeps you out of urgent care. And now the mistake that tops this entire list, the one hiding in plain sight inside some of the most beloved recipes families passed down for generations. Now we will reveal the final mistake, and after that I will share 3 simple tricks the pros use that make eggs safer and easier. So stay tuned until the end. Number 1, using raw eggs in uncooked recipes. Homemade eggnog at the holidays, a classic Caesar dressing, chocolate mousse made the way your mother or grandmother made it. These recipes feel like tradition, and that's exactly why this mistake is so easy to miss. Raw eggs can carry salmonella inside the egg itself, not just on the shell, which means even a clean, uncracked, properly refrigerated egg can still pose a risk when it's never cooked. Once that bacteria enters your system alive, there's nothing standing between it and your digestive tract. For seniors, a salmonella infection isn't just an unpleasant few days. It can become genuinely dangerous because age-related changes to the digestive system and immune response make it harder for the body to fight off, and some medications commonly taken by seniors can mask the early symptoms. So the infection can progress further before anyone realizes something is wrong. This is the mistake I see catch people most often in my own practice because it rarely feels like a decision at all. Nobody sits down and consciously decides to take a food safety risk at a holiday dinner. They're just making the eggnog the way it's always been made in the same bowl using the same recipe card, sometimes handwritten by someone who isn't around to ask anymore. That's exactly why this mistake persists in families who are otherwise careful about everything else in the kitchen. And it's not only the obviously raw dishes, Hollandaise sauce, soft meringues, gently baked custards. A lot of these don't reach a high enough temperature to fully eliminate bacteria. Even licking the spoon while making cookie dough or cake batter carries the same underlying risk. Here's the good news. You don't have to give up a single one of these recipes. Pasteurized eggs are heated just enough to kill off harmful bacteria while still behaving exactly like raw eggs in your recipe. Same texture, same whip. Same result. They're widely available now as whole eggs, whites, yolks, or in liquid form at most major grocery stores. Swap them into any recipe that calls for raw or barely cooked eggs, and your holiday eggnog, your Caesar dressing, your mousse, all of it stays exactly as you remember it, minus the risk. Now that you know the mistakes to avoid, here are 3 simple tricks the pros use that make eggs safer and easier, especially if cracking, peeling, or keeping track of dates has ever felt like a hassle. The first is the 20-eye nut rule. Most people don't realize eggs going straight from the refrigerator into boiling water often crack. From the sudden temperature change, let your eggs sit out at room temperature for about 20 minutes before cooking. It's a small pause that prevents cracked shells and gives you a more evenly cooked egg with better texture. The second is the vinegar fix, and this one's especially good news if you deal with arthritis or reduced grip. Strength. Add a tablespoon of white vinegar to your boiling water. If a shell does crack while cooking, the acidity helps the egg white seal that crack almost instantly, keeping bacteria out. As a bonus, vinegar-boiled eggs tend to peel far more easily. The shell lifts away in larger pieces instead of shattering into fragments stuck to the white, which matters more than it sounds like when your hands are already working harder than they used to. It leaves no taste behind at all. And the third brings us right back to mistake number 1, buying pasteurized eggs. Once you know to look for them, you'll find they're sitting on the shelf at most regular grocery stores, usually right next to the standard cartons. Keeping a carton on hand means every recipe that calls for raw or lightly cooked eggs stays part of your kitchen without a second thought. So here's what it all comes down to. Eggs are still one of the best things you can eat after 60 for your brain, your eyes, your heart, and your energy. The 7 mistakes we walked through today aren't reasons to fear your breakfast. They're just small blind spots, and now that you know them, they're easy to fix. This is what the healthiest seniors already do without thinking twice about it. You're not helpless here, you're informed, and that's what keeps you independent in your own kitchen, cooking the meals and the traditions you love safely. Which of these mistakes did you grow up doing without ever knowing it? Tell us in the comments below. We read every single one, and if you're going to try one of these changes starting tomorrow, type yes so we know it landed. If you have any questions or want to share your own experiences, feel free to leave a comment below.